are. Let me just double check some stuff here, make sure that my audio is working properly. It seems to be. Um, my speakers are working. Okay, everything seems to be working as it should. Dazed and confused tonight. Welcome to the South Carolina NORML Cannabis Conversation. It is Wednesday night. It is 7 p.m. and it's time to talk about cannabis here in South Carolina. So we're going to give it a minute here as we normally do, see if we can get a couple people to join the room with us tonight. Forgot to fill my water bottle, so I hope I have enough to get me through. And as many of you know, I'll mention it now, I'll mention it in a couple of minutes. Tonight is also the second Wednesday of the month. Second Wednesday is always our chapter public meeting. So the agenda is pretty well set for the evening, and not a lot to talk about, to be quite honest with you. So if you have any comments, questions while we're on, feel free to put them in the comment section here. All right, let me click my little button over here, find the button I'm looking for. There we go. And we'll kind of kick things off because it looks like we're already at 7:02. So we're going to start things off with our disclaimer that all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. All right. Looks like we are on the quiet side tonight. As you may know, let me scroll back to where I'm supposed to be here. We've created a, what do we call it? Run of show document. Sort of a living document, running document. So each show that we are preparing for, we'll usually go in and we'll put some information in the run of show. And I see that although I knew ahead of time what we were doing, I even got our, what do they call it? Pre-scheduling of the podcast posted to the YouTube Live and Facebook Live kind of stuff with what our topic would be, because I knew it was second Wednesday. I never put any of the documentation in the run of show. So as normal, though, we just did our disclaimer. I am going to kick off to our next little tidbit of please follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram. We are at SC Normal. Do a search in YouTube and Facebook for South Carolina NORML. I don't have them listed on the banner at the moment. I don't know if it's SC Normal or Normal SC. Matter of fact, YouTube, I do know it's at South Carolina NORML. So I just readjusted that today. Also, don't forget to visit our website and click on into our sponsors page. Our sponsors are one of the ones that make it possible for us to even exist and do what we do, along with our members and our donors. But while we're talking about sponsors, I think what we're going to do is skip over intro and agenda. Well, no, we won't skip it. We'll hit it as we should. But yes, please visit our sponsors page and support our sponsors as they help support us. Now I can click over that other little button that I wanted to pop up here. Intro and agenda time. Welcome to the show is our intro, I guess. Agenda for tonight, as always, regular public monthly meeting. We will be talking about what's going on both federally and state legislatively, which is kind of nothing. And then we'll go over some chapter business and some news and coming events. So hopefully we don't run too short, and I know we won't run too long tonight. But it is now that time, since I did kind of mention support and our sponsors, to get to our first trivia question. Helps if I have them prepared and actually in my hand. We have been trying to do 3 of them per podcast now, giving our sponsors an opportunity, as they will, to sponsor a cannabis trivia question. Or there's also the opportunity to sponsor the podcast as a whole, which we would mention them during our thank our sponsors portion. Category tonight, let's start with this one. Category tonight for the first trivia question is culture. This is a 20-point question for those that are keeping score. Culture is the category, 20-point question. The question is, in Bhutan, marijuana grows wild and is mainly used by whom? Adult, teenagers, animals. In Bhutan, Bhutan, marijuana grows wild and is mainly used by whom? Adults, teenagers, or animals? All right. As we do once we ask the question, we're going to give that opportunity to remind business owners and folks out there, you have an opportunity to sponsor these questions, so our trivia questions, and help support our cause here at South Carolina NORML. So if you're interested in sponsoring trivia questions, please reach out to us through the contact page on our website at scnormal.org. All right, let's ask the question one more time, and I'm even going to remember to click the right button here. We'll give you the answer. It is answer time. The subject is culture, 20-point question. Question, in Bhutan, marijuana grows wild and is mainly used by whom? Adults, teenagers, animals. And the answer is animals. Sounds interesting. Bhutan, Bhutan. If you want to Google it, find out more about, I guess, marijuana and the animals there in Bhutan, check it out. All right, let me set these other 2 aside for later in the podcast. And click that button off. Excuse me very much. All right, now I need to do myself a favor and click over to, I got paper. Us old people, we kind of print stuff out, look at it, make little marks on it, sometimes notes. I got nothing on as far as real notes on this paper, but these are my printouts from congress.gov from last month's meeting, to be quite honest with you. I printed out in 2 ways. I think I printed out one that had like all documents and one that was primarily bills. I'm going to put away the long list and keep the short list on hand. And basically all I want to do tonight is go over them one at a time here. This paper is showing me 13 bills. I don't know if there's any others I'm missing. I'll look at the long list as we go through and see if everything coincides pretty well. Except I know they're in different orders. But let's go ahead and start with them in this particular order and see where we go. I want to try and kind of scoot through this in about the next 20 minutes. And doing it this way, we should be able to get through it pretty quickly. All right. 13 bills to talk about in the U.S. Congress. If you go to congress.gov and you type into the search bar, search the current Congress for the word marijuana. And I think this one is filtered down to just a legislation, where other search will give you amendments and bill, it'll give you not just bills, but it'll give you amendments. It will give you, what am I looking for? Resolutions, stuff like that. It'll give you some other stuff. So I'm going to try to do the short one and see how this plays out. We're going to start with the first one on my list here, the Claim Act. The Claim Act, again, I don't have text for it in front of me. That's a House Bill, H.R. 2984. And this is basically a bill having to do with insurance companies. Really does not affect our efforts in the efforts to decriminalize and or remove cannabis from Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substances Act. 6984. Give me 1 second here, guys. I want to just do this one a little bit different so I'm a little smoother. All right, now let me just filter this out so I can do this a little better. All right, I'm going to filter down to just legislation. There we go. And it looks like my printout that said 13 is not real accurate. We're looking at 28 bills on what I'm looking at right in front of me. So we'll play with that. Play with it that way. Take a look at it here because those kind of match up my other list a lot better. All right. Marijuana 1 2 3 Act. 1, the word 2, and then the number 3 Act of 2023. This is a bill sponsored by Gregory Steuben, Republican out of Florida. Basically, it is a rescheduling bill to reschedule marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 on the Controlled Substances Act. If you've ever been on, listened to us before, you know where we stand on that. Descheduling. D is where we want to go, not re. We don't want rescheduling. We want descheduling. So the 1 to 3 Act is not something that we support. That's HR 2682. Oh, got to stop for just 1 second and say, hey, Joey, welcome and thank you for joining me tonight. Always great to see you join in, folks participate. Second on the list here, and I think my lists are slightly different. Veterans Medical Marijuana Safe Harbor Act. Again, that's a House Bill 2682. That is sponsored by Barbara Lee, a Democrat out of California. Has 13 co-sponsors, so it's getting a little bit like some links to it. Also, the Senate version of the Veterans Medical Marijuana Safe Harbor Act, sponsored by Senator Brian Schatz, Democrat of Hawaii, it looks like. 10 co-sponsors on that Senate bill. So those two are moving along. Those two are ones that you can always kind of contact your legislators, ask them to move that legislation forward. Don't forget, you can always stop and visit the National NORML page at norml.org and go to their Take Action link and find these action alerts for most of these items right there at the federal level. Next one down here, let me look at this one. HR 3829, a bill to streamline the process for institutions of higher education to research marijuana. Interesting. Again, that's a House bill sponsored by Dina Titus, Democrat of Nevada. Has 2 co-sponsors to start with. Number 5 on the list here is the GRAM Act, GRAM, which is the Gun Rights and Marijuana Act. This is a bill to basically allow cannabis consumers that are legally consuming in their state to not lose their Second Amendment right to possess a firearm, based on the, I'm forgetting the letters now. Tobacco and firearm, alcohol, ATF. Thank you. Forgot what the other one was. So anyway, that is what the GRAM Act is, and that is the House version of it, HR 2772. I believe as we scroll through, I'm going to find another one of those GRAM Act on the Senate side. 6th bill down on the list here is the Senate version of the Safe Banking Act. And I believe it's the Senate bill's version I heard earlier today. The only news I have, and this is one that's been getting some action. It's been getting some talk. But I heard a rumor today or a report today of like new GOP co-sponsor. This bill, the Senate version, sponsored by Jeff Merkley, Senator, is a Democrat out of Oregon, has 40 co-sponsors on that bill, quite possibly 41 now with this new one. I don't know if this has been updated yet on congress.gov, but let me find my note on that. What I understand is, no, I wrote down, no, I don't see it, that there will not be any type of movement on that legislation before the 4th of July break, which is coming up in just a few weeks. And they'll be on break for about a week, come back, I think, on July 11th. So probably no vote before the 4th on the on the Safe Banking Act. But again, keep contacting your legislators. I know there's action alerts out there on probably both our local South Carolina NORML.org page or scnormal.org, and also on national for write to your legislators about the MORE Act. That's very important, especially for the retailers that are in legal states wanting to just pay their taxes. The government's actually inviting crime to those establishments by forcing them to keep all that cash on hand and trying to find ways to safeguard it and transport it and things of that nature, instead of like most other businesses. A lot of business is done with electronic money transfers, credit cards, that kind of thing. So the Safe Banking Act is important. It's important for the consumers. Consumers should be able to use their credit cards, debit cards, whatever it might be, to pay for their purchases when they're purchasing their medicine. I just kind of took notice. Sorry if it's been here for a moment. Nancy popped in and says, "How you doing?" So far, not too bad. Kind of loving life this week. Hang on, did that come out of my mouth? But yeah, doing good. Welcome to the room. Josh commented on I guess the conversation. I can use my credit card at all dispensaries in Florida. I know a lot have worked around it. I'm not sure how it works with them paying their taxes on it now, but I know a lot more are working way around it, finding merchant services that are allowing them to use them. But Nancy mentioned pay with Bitcoin. That's out of my realm. I'm old. I don't know much about cyber coinage. But I always follow this to it so far. But yeah, I know early on. Now Josh may be right. Maybe there's a lot more places like Florida that you're able to use your cards. But I know at some places, especially early on, you would have to go, oh, there's a cash machine over there. You can get your cash out and that kind of thing. Um, so it's good to know that some have worked their way around it. But I think there's still issues on you know finding banks they'll work with these businesses because the banks themselves are afraid that they're going to be charged with a crime. They're going to be charged with conspiracy and I forget what else they're charged with in those cases. Um, so uh, safe banking. I'm not going to talk much more about that at the moment than that. Let me scroll down just a little bit. We have number 7 is the Veterans Equal Access Act. That's a House bill. Um, Sponsored by Brian Mast, Republican out of Florida, has 21 co-sponsors. We will probably see a similar version down below. I don't see it. Also, then right below that is the Veterans Cannabis Use for Safe Healing Act. That's another House bill. Sponsored by Gregory Staub, another representative who is a Republican out of Florida. And that bill has 5 co-sponsors. All right. This one I think is the companion to the Graham Act, if I'm not mistaken. Number 9, HR 363, Second Amendment Protection Act in the House. This is sponsored by Alexander Mooney, who's a Republican out of West Virginia, has 5 co-sponsors. So I'm pretty sure that is sort of the companion bill to that Graham Act, the Gun Rights and Marijuana Act. Don't take me 100% on that, but I'm going to say 95%. I'm pretty sure that's the companion bill for that first one. Number 10 on our list, HR 2643, Small Business Tax Equity Act. 9 co-sponsors. Sponsor on this is Earl Blumenauer, Democrat out of Oregon. And I'm actually going to have to go peek at that one because I think that is latest action was in April, but I don't think I know what's going on with that one. This bill exempts a trade or business that conducts marijuana sales in compliance with state law from a provision in the Internal Revenue Code that prohibits business-related tax credits or deductions for expenditures in connection with trafficking in controlled substances. So this one's really to affect the tax codes. But again, these are businesses, people operating businesses in legal states, operating under the laws in those states, and they want to fix the tax code for them. All right, down here, number 11 on our list, Safe Banking Act of 2023, the House version of it. Again, that one is sponsored by David Joyce, representative out of Ohio, a Republican, co-sponsors on the House version of the Safe Banking Act 47. So now I don't know if it was the House bill HR 2891 or if it was where'd it go way up here at the top? The Senate Bill 1323 that somebody commented on getting a new sponsor from the GOP, but they are moving along. Number 12 is the House version of the Claim Act that we mentioned right at the top of the program. That is an insurance company related. I mentioned that at the top from the first list before we got rolling here. Right here again, I think it's we have both versions of it listed. Number 12 and number 13 on our list. There's a House and a Senate version of that. Number 14 on the list, the Free to Grow Act of 2023. Who knows what the Free to Grow Act is? I think I know what that one is. Bill repeals a federal provision barring individuals with certain felony drug-related convictions within the past 10 years from obtaining a license to grow hemp. Okay, so that's a hemp grower's licensing. And again, what they've done to people in the drug war is they've hung yokes upon them every time, all kinds of different yokes. You get a simple possession cannabis arrest. You hear me gripe about this all the time. Now, all of a sudden, you've got it on your record. You can't get education assistance. You can't get public housing. You're barred from a lot of things. You can't get security clearances if you're trying to work in government or in the military. If you can even get in at that point because you've had a drug arrest, that kind of thing. So this is the Free to Grow Act to try to kind of remedy that for people that have been convicted of cannabis arrest. And then that cannabis arrest is barring them from getting licensing in legal states to grow hemp, or actually in any state right now it's legal to grow hemp. Number 15 on the list, Senate Bill 1235, Bruce's Law, sponsored by Senator Lisa Murkowski, Republican out of Arkansas. 4 co-sponsors on that. I vaguely remember reading about what this one was, so we'll kind of kick that up here. Bill reauthorizes certain grants and sets out other activities to address the dangers of fentanyl-related drug overdoses. Not really a cannabis-related bill. Number 16 on the list was the Clean Slate Act of 2023. How many more do I have? Just a couple more down on this list. And that one, again, is just, excuse me. See if I can get the top a little bit off of here. Interesting. I don't have a summary on this one yet, but it has to do basically with sentencing or sentencing reform. So we will have to come back and revisit that a little bit more when there is a summary available. All right. Number 17 on our list, a resolution honoring the efforts of the Coast Guard for excellence in maritime border security. Not sure what that has to do with cannabis. And the 18th on the list is the Halt Fentanyl Act. Again, should not be talking about marijuana necessarily in there in my mind. 19 on the list, the Hope Act of 2023. That's another David Joyce bill, Republican out of Ohio, with 4 co-sponsors on that one. The Hope Act, let's see if I can find out what HOPE stands for. Harness opportunities by pursuing expungement. Oh, and I've been reading a lot of good stuff about expungements in the past week or 3 here. No, they should not compare the two, not even a little. So that was the Hope Act, was against a expungement. And then it drops into, how did a resolution get in there? VA medical cannabis research. So again, there's another one for the VA to do medical research. Bruce's Law, again, was very, the House version of it is our 22nd on the list. Boy, we're almost done. Almost 7:30. HR 1003. That's again, that VA bill. HR 2640, Border Security and Enforcement Act of 2023. Don't know what a little bit of weed has to do with border security. It may be one of those. Bill addresses issues regarding immigration and border security, including by imposing limits to asylum. And I believe it also talks about cannabis possession and small amounts versus larger amounts. That one ties in with the Secure the Border Act. And then the last couple things on the list here were amendments. Whew, look at that. 7:30. Most of this has not a lot going on at the moment, except, like I say, the MORE Act. We are not expecting a vote before 4th of July. Definitely contact your legislators supporting that bill to move forward. If they don't support it, please ask them to sign on and support. Tell them that their constituents would like them to do that. Yes. Nancy comments in there in the comments here, they shouldn't compare the two, which I just mentioned a second ago. No, they shouldn't compare fentanyl with marijuana. But you make a good point with your next comment that weed can be laced with anything. And that's kind of true too. And that's a big part of why we want legalization, regulation, certificates of why do I always blank on this? I want to say authenticity, like for collectibles, but of analysis, so that we can know it's in our cannabis, so we can hopefully know it's not tainted. It doesn't. Just a good question. The other that I saw across my social media earlier today. You've got your favorite strain of weed, but you find out it's got dust mites. Do you still smoke it? Yeah, it was kind of interesting with the comments for it. So yeah, I want to know. I want to know what's in my favorite strain, or whatever I'm kind of inducing. All right. Well, we're kind of at our segue point to the second half of our talk this evening, and the second half is going to be loosely based on state. Not a lot going on in state, you all know that, and then our upcoming events and some other kind of interesting news we have for the chapter, and our last two questions of trivia. And we're hitting the second one right now because it is that time. So this is a music question, music category, 30-point question. What artist sings these lyrics? I was going to clean my room until I got high. Was it Cypress Hill, LL Cool J, Afro Man, or Jay-Z? Again, music category, 30-point question. Which artist sings these lyrics? I was going to clean my room until I got high. Cypress Hill, LL Cool J, Afro Man, or Jay-Z? Blah, 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 blah. Would you like to sponsor a trivia question? Contact us through our website on the contact page, scnormal.org. Okay. Do I sound bored kind of like promoting this over and over again? Anyway, click the next button. Here is our answer to our tonight's trivia question. And I see two comments up there already. I bet you all know. What artist sings these lyrics? I was going to clean my room until I got high. Was it Cypress Hill? Was it LL Cool J? Was it Afro Man? Or was it Jay-Z? The answer is it was Afro Man. Afro Man. All right. Put that one back in the box. One more down for the night. And let's segue into the second half of the podcast tonight. What's going on? What's going on? State level cannabis. What's going on? We know there's some folks out there trying to do some fundraising for different organizations. So there's some events going on up through the summertime here. Let me click this comment up here. We got Taco Tuesday 420 has stopped in to say hi. Hi, Taco Tuesday 420. Thank you for coming out. Oh, time to turn off this button here. All right. What was I just talking about? Dude. So there is an event coming up. I want to say it's on the 24th of June by a company called Carolina Dream is putting on an event. It says on one of that they're going to be supporting or proceeds going to the Compassionate Care Alliance. And so kind of, if you're interested in that, it's in the Charleston area. Look it up on Facebook. You'll be able to find that event and participate. As far as what's going on actually at state level, there's not a whole lot. As you know, we're done with our session for this year. Probably as far as our state goes, focus is gonna probably as far as state level stuff dwindle until we hit January again. The only thing I can really think in the meantime is to continually contact legislators, let your legislators know where you stand, be vocal about it. I so often hear the legislators saying, "Yeah, I'm getting calls from opposition to this medical marijuana bill, but I'm not hearing people that are supporting it." And I don't know. I've been told maybe I'm wrong about this or not, but I've had people tell me that they won't join our organization. They won't contact their legislators about marijuana because they're afraid that they're going to be put on some sort of government watch list, and the police are going to kind of keep an eye out for them. And I don't know what to tell you, but I have people telling me this quite often. That they're afraid to, or not the government watch list. I actually get it quite often from folks too, because of their job. I can't vocally support what you do or get caught vocally supporting, or because if my boss finds out, next thing you know, I'm going to be random drug tested, or my family is going to something, or it'll risk my certification or my licensing. Or matter of fact, that's a big thing in the trucking industry right now. Yeah, they're talking about can't find truck drivers because they've lost well over 10,000 truck drivers through cannabis testing. And these truckers are given an opportunity to kind of recover and stay in the system, and they went, nah, I'll find another job. No thanks, not worth it. So they're having big issues. We are starting to see more and more places say that cannabis use is not going to be, they're not going to do cannabis testing anymore. Somebody mentioned in the comments, I believe it was the FBI, has somewhat recently said that cannabis use, previous cannabis use, I'm assuming, I think this is the way they stated, is not a bar to employment with them. So all right, going back to comment real quick here. Josh is with us. Says, vote, people. Graham and McMaster need to go. And we also have Scott running for president here. We really don't need him as president. He just doesn't seem to get it with cannabis. But or Nikki, for that matter, she's not a fan of the cannabis either. So yeah, your votes really do count. I mean, and I hate to say it, but so many of us in South Carolina shoot ourselves in the foot because we're voting for our party and not for our causes. Or maybe it could be that marijuana is just not a priority in your causes, or it's lower on the priority list, and so you're voting for particular candidates because they support other causes that you support. And hey, I can't fault anybody for how they vote. I'm not a very good voter. I vote because of how they based on cannabis for the most part. Although, like I said, I do have to admit, if I have both candidates saying that they support decriminalization in South Carolina, or descheduling or anything like that, then I have to start looking at more than just that issue. Be careful how you vote. Be careful how you vote. This is going to be an interesting voting cycle starting this fall as we start ramping up to the primaries, I think I just saw something on my feed in my memories. It was either today or yesterday. Um, Today's Monday, so it was probably today that, I was voting this time last year in a primary. Um, Now our primaries are going to be moved up until February in South Carolina. I don't know what's causing my colors to shift on there. Putting us much earlier in the voting cycle, especially in a presidential election year. This is going to be kind of interesting. Are we first? I think we're first. So we're even before Iowa. Um, and it's always when the election cycles start ramping up and they start getting into that cycle, they're all talking about what's going to happen in Iowa. Well, now they're going to start talking about what's going to happen in South Carolina. Um, I don't know if we really will wield that much more power with our votes as far as influencing the rest of the nation in these, future cycles as we're early in the primaries. But it's going to be some interesting stuff to watch as we move forward. Um, all I can say is vote in your best interest. Um, that's all you can do. Vote for your best interest. All right. So, with that said, as far as things going here in South Carolina, we can't vote at the moment. As you know, we have done, catch my breath, we have attempted to do ballot initiatives, local municipal ballot initiatives in Charleston, Folly Beach, and here in a small town called James Island, which is kind of intermingled with Charleston. And we got kind of nowhere fast because a lot of what we started was right before the pandemic hit back in 2020 or so. I think we had a couple like sort of false starts in 2019. And while we were doing it back at that point, I was asked a number of times by a number of people in different municipalities, well, hey, can we get one here in my town? Can we start a petition drive here in my town? And at that point, I kind of said, I don't know how to get you started. Somebody else drafted our petitions for us. I didn't know how to even start the process because you have to sort of put ordinance numbers in there from your local ordinances and sort of try and give it an ordinance number. And I'm like, well, I mean, I could pretty much copy and paste everything else, change the name of the town, where the name changes, name was. But what do I do about this ordinance number thing? So I happened to ask the right person the right question one day, and I think I've kind of got it under control that I could probably take any of our petitions, modify them with the new number after a little bit of research, give it a number that I'm also told can be edited later. I forget by who, the town clerk or something, as it gets into the ordinance. But I don't know. I'm thinking I've said it for years here. Really, I believe the best way forward for South Carolina to reach legalization is by trying to decriminalize at the municipal level, town by town, city by city, go move across the state. Let the people's will be what it is. Let the people make those choices. That's what they're doing in Ohio. Now, I know, especially the folks around the Charleston and the coast here in South Carolina, they don't want to do what Ohio's doing. That's one of the chants here in Charleston is go back to Ohio, because a lot of people from the Northeast are moving down here for the warmer weather. As my daughter-in-law said, you don't have to shovel the heat. Well, you got to shovel that damn snow up north. So, but it's a process that's worked for them. I mean, I got the petitions originally from the Sensible Movement Coalition that's been going through the process of collecting signatures on petitions and filing the ordinances for a number of years now. And I believe I've lost track. I think there's somewhere around 27 cities that they've decriminalized as no fine, no time, no court cost. Decrim ordinances using their petitions. they're not easy tasks. They take a lot of planning. They take a lot of effort. Give you an example. For the Folly Beach petition, I need 400 signatures, thereabouts. Those 400 signatures have to be registered voters in the city of Folly Beach. So they have to be registered to vote in the city of Folly Beach. They can't be somebody that's living in Folly Beach, but they're registered to vote at their permanent home, and this is their vacation home. They can't be a student that's going to college at the College of Charleston, living down on Folly in an apartment somewhere, but they're registered to vote back home at mom and dad's house. It has to be a registered voter that is a resident of the city of Folly Beach to get those 400 signatures. Even that shouldn't be too hard until you then take into the consideration Folly Beach is a tourist town. Folly Beach is a population of roughly around 3,000 people off season. That blossoms to 23,000 in the summertime, and like 20,000 of those people kind of turn over every week. 20,000 go away, 20,000 more come back. Okay, some people stay for 2 weeks, some may long, but a lot of these people, it recycles a lot, and finding those now registered voters that are actual residents of the city of Folly Beach get lost in the crowd of the thousands and thousands of tourists that come to the area. So I've got a window of opportunity in Folly, probably of 3 months: December, January, February. And of course, that's when we're really kind of cranking up and planning our final push for our lobby day in January, and then probably like catching my breath after that. But we do have some stuff happening. If you happen to read our newsletter that went out last evening, and again, sorry it went out so late, we're having some changes on our board and on our team. I hate to say it, but Kristen Mullert, who was our deputy director for the past couple of years and has been with me for 4 years on the board, has left the state. She's moved out of South Carolina. She is moving on to continue her education. I said it in the newsletter, she's moving to New Zealand. I'm pretty sure that's where she told me. Pretty cool, little island off of Australia, for about a year to do some education there, and then moving back to her home state, which I believe is Michigan, when she returns to be closer to home and go to school, I believe near Detroit. She was a great benefit to me here and great helped me great in organizing our lobby days, especially. Oh my goodness. I mean, she'd pick up the ball, she'd run with it. Hey, Scott, do you want me to contact the legislator's office and start scheduling people? Hey, Scott, do you want me to, do this or that? She helped me get the newsletter out every month, which to me is pretty important. Kind of like our podcast. I want to be consistent when we do stuff. Those couple of times we've missed our podcast, it drives me a little nuts because whether it's ADHD or whatever, I want to be there every time at 7:00. I want that newsletter to be out every just before the second Wednesday every month, that kind of stuff. And every now and again we've kind of missed it, and it kind of grinds my gears when I do that. So we try and be real consistent about getting that stuff out. And Kristen was a great help on doing that. We have again invited her to stay in touch. Maybe you'll see her come join us on the program sometime in the future and tell us how she's doing. With that, VP, who has been our co-host on here a number of times, is moving up from the secretary position, or I guess you would call it up. Pay grade's the same. It's still voluntary. But moving into the deputy director position. And she has been our secretary for the past 2 years now. And we have then a new secretary coming, just came on board with us in the end of March. On with us tonight is Courtney Toft. Comes in as Taco Tuesday 420 tonight. Thank you very much, Courtney, for again being there with us here with us tonight, and for being there for me past couple of days getting the newsletter back out. Matter of fact, there's a quick side note to you. I have been in kind of trying to rework the template for the newsletter a little bit this afternoon. I'm learning this stuff sometimes as I go. Realized I can take that template we've been using and just go in and edit it. And when we pop it back in, we'll figure it out. We'll get it consistent again, or a little easier for it to work with, should I say. Our friend Bob Chapman stops in and says howdy, and of course, as we all do, we say hello back. Hope you're in high spirits. Love the thought there. Love the thought, Josh. So that is our board kind of changes. The only thing I didn't mention there that I mentioned on in the newsletter was that we have changed our treasurer. We have a new treasurer came on board back in December. It's been on board with us now for just short of 6 months. Our previous treasurer, Michael Knight, who is known as the hemp accountant, wanted to kind of do some volunteering work for the Hemp Builders Association and has moved along to help them out. Stayed on board with us until we were all kind of ready to transition and has actually reached back out a couple of times in case we need any follow-up. So thank you again, Michael, if you're watching this or listening out there, for being there with us. And thank you to all of my team for all the work that you do. I'm hoping very soon, that's why I'm talking in circles here, but I was talking about the petition. Very soon, I'm hoping to introduce you all to a new event coordinator. As you know, I don't know how many times I've come on the podcast and said, oh, yeah, we're looking for volunteers. We want an event coordinator. We want a volunteer coordinator. We want this, that, and the other thing. Someone with a little bit of a marketing background has reached out and shown some interest in being our event coordinator. I will be introducing them to my team this weekend, and hopefully everything will kind of fall into place. If that happens, I'm very excited to see where it takes us. It's, again, another mind, another pair of eyes, another set of hands to kind of help us with promoting the movement, educating communities, reaching out across the state. It's been, I guess, 2.5 years now, going on 3 full years, that we have been the state level instead of the low country NORML. We are the South Carolina NORML, and it's been a challenge this whole time to try and, spread across the state and be effective at it. We're hoping that with an event coordinator, somebody that can help us coordinate. We've always wanted to do a big event. Maybe we can with somebody who has some background in that. Even with our smaller events, though, or this person's marketing background, I'm hoping it will sort of help us build out some packages that we can make available to retailers to sponsor us, and then put sort of an information corner in their shop to teach them a little bit about what NORML does and how to get involved with moving legislation forward. So that's just sort of a little tidbit on that. I don't want to go too far until I'm really certain everything is going to fall into place. But I'm hoping that it does, and we will have ourselves an event coordinator on our team. They'll have to work closely with the volunteer coordinator. So if you're interested in becoming a volunteer coordinator, don't forget to reach out to me through our contact page on our website at cnorml.org. I think the only thing that I sort of have left on our website at the moment, looking for other volunteers, is we're looking for 4-person teams to possibly establish additional chapters throughout the state, so we can, again, spread our reach, spread the word. It's a grassroots effort that we're doing here. And so it's all a matter of kind of word of mouth and getting out on the street. I know there's some folks up in Greenville. One gal that I follow up there seems to be out on the streets pretty regularly. Does support us here at NORML as a NORML member, but she is just out there really just spreading the love for cannabis. Gotta love it. Gotta love it when people are not afraid to get out in the public and share their point of view on cannabis. Where are we at here? 7:55. Look at that. We're running out of time. Real quick, I'm going to mention a couple things. I think we threw them in our newsletter because I know I did. If you're in the Charleston area, there's another reggae night coming up on Friday the 23rd. It is not an event that is sponsored and or sponsored at all in any way by South Carolina NORML. We're just going to hang out and listen to music. Last time, which was 3 weeks ago, earlier this month, all I did is when I went out, my team was all busy, set up a couple of chairs, took one of our signs, something similar to this, stuck it behind me on the chair, sat my chairs right along the main traffic route. And then I took a couple little lights and a couple little brochure boxes, and I put them up so people could see my sign, see a little brochure box, come and take a brochure, chat with me a little bit if they wanted. And I talked to about a dozen people or so, and it was really kind of nice. So again, if you're in the Charleston area and weather permitting, because I ain't going to be out there with raining, but Friday the 23rd, James Island County Park. It is a ticketed event, so you'll need to get your ticket through the county park. No charge if you are a County Park Gold Pass member. As a matter of fact, everybody in your car gets in free by you just showing your Gold Pass. So that's one of the benefits of that. After that, let's see. After that, there is another one coming up in July. I want to say July 4th. It's in the newsletter, but no, it's not July 4th. It would not be the 4th of July. Tell you what, I'm going to visit our website and go look under the coming events page and tell you what the extra date is. July 14th. There we go. So there's one in July. After the one in July, which is Sunday, July 23rd, we will also be doing our beach sweep at Folly Beach. And that will proceed our day at the beach. Come out and lounge and hang out. Enjoy the sunshine, the water. Feed the seagulls. No, don't feed the seagulls. I am working on getting our beach sweep sign-up form active again. I think I have it shut down, or there is a link to it. And if it's not off, it probably should be. So, but I'm going to get that finished up editing that and get that turned back on pretty soon. So if you're interested in participating in the beach sweep or just coming out and hanging at the day at the beach, that will be on July 23rd. That is a Sunday. And then there is one more reggae night coming up after that, and that's going to be in August, and that is August 4th. That's where the 4th came in. Was the 4th of July was the 4th of August. All right, I'm seeing 7:59. That's kind of all I got for tonight. Thank you, Taco Tuesday. 2 comments that are important. Yes, would love to get a Columbia chapter. 4 dedicated people that can work as a team together and put regular events on up there for us. Definitely looking for that. Donations are always welcome. Don't forget to follow us on social media, our Facebook page. Follow or see any of the cannabis conversations you might have missed on our YouTube page. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell on YouTube as well, so that you know when we're ready to go live on our weekly cannabis conversation. We do post occasionally to Instagram and Twitter as well, so don't forget to follow those. And last but not least, visit our website, scnormal.org. And if you have any questions or comments for me, reach out through our contact page. Not doing the last trivia question tonight. We'll have to hit that next week. Thank you all for joining me. We will see you next Wednesday. Good night now. Bye.